There it is.
Good now, revolutionaries, and welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show.
Good morning, the Rise Up Morning Show.
We've been backstage for a minute. Today is Wednesday, January 29th. It's my mother's birthday. Happy birthday, Mom. And we've been talking about jobs. Everybody's speculating about what Alex used to do. Someone said Alex is the original Spy Kid. Can you confirm?
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Let's take that answer for what you will. Alex, I was telling folks before you got here that I just found a really cool tool that Nader Dabit, I don't know if it's Nader or Nader. I've never heard him say his name out loud. On Twitter. He's a dev relations guy, currently works at Eigenlayer, dropped a tutorial that you can use in 35 minutes to build an Eliza AI agent totally from scratch. So if you are a developer or you're developer inclined, you want to learn to do this kind of stuff, here's a guy who's at the center of our industry teaching you how to do this cool thing. Eliza is a great operating system for basically a do-it-yourself AI autonomous agent. I threw it in the Discord. I gave it its own chat in the public forum, but it's also in the general chat. And it is simple enough that even I could understand it. I could have done it if I felt so inclined. I encourage everybody who's interested in it to check it out because we know AI agents are going to be the big thing. So discord.gg/riseup is where it is. It's totally free. All that's missing is you. If you can't find it, let us know. What are you up to this morning, man?
You know, the usual. Up a lot earlier than I wanted to because dogs hate it when I sleep.
Dogs hate it when I sleep.
They really do. They love to sleep, but they hate it when I sleep.
Yeah, yeah, that's how dogs are.
But no, other than that, I don't know, man. I've been thinking a lot about how insanely hyper bullish everybody is. And it makes me nervous.
I kind of sensed that from you yesterday, and I was curious if you were feeling that yesterday at all.
I have a hard time watching a bunch of people in an echo chamber permabull themselves about the biggest run that crypto's ever seen at a time when basically everything else economically and globally is like a little unsure. Or like,
I am inclined to agree with you.
Cooling off from all-time highs and like all of these different things. And I'm just like, am I the only one that's like getting the creeps by watching a bunch of like Twitter bros tell each other that this is going to be the biggest bull run of all time? And I'm like, Solana's up like 2,500% in the last year and change. Bitcoin went from 16 to 110. Like, you know, I think like it's all over and whatever. I have a hard time believing that, but like, I think we're like a couple months away from $200,000 Bitcoin. No, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like I'm one of those people that just like, I'm very aggressive about how little I know about where markets are going. I just know that I feel weird. Looking at a bunch of people get this excited about the U.S. federal government and thinking that they're only going to pump all of our bags.
Yeah, I do too. And I agree with you. When everyone is calling for the top, it's not necessarily the top. When everyone's calling for the bottom, it's not necessarily the top. And I actually feel like I have noticed people waffling a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me is like a much stronger sign that makes me feel like we're at the end of the top of the cycle. But also I was saying this to Matt yesterday, one of my coaching clients. I was saying, we were moving a lot of stuff. We're exploring some DeFi. And I was like, he's like, should we do this? Should we do this? I was like, I really, right now, this is the most active time in the cycle. We're going to have enough on our list to do it anyway. I just don't want to do anything unless I have absolute conviction it's the right thing to do. Because usually if I'm making moves because I feel like I ought to, that's when I lose money. And that's when I watch almost everybody else lose money. They're like, oh,
Yep.
This is pumping. Should I, I'm not exposed to this. I should do this. I haven't bought this yet. You know what I mean? You get caught up in the FOMO, you stray away from your plan, and then all of a sudden you're just reacting.
Yeah, well, it's a combination of a whole bunch of things. You know, somebody posted let me see if I can find it, the classic meme that's been, you know,
I love
bopping
it.
around
Yes.
for the past little bit of you know, Bitcoin OGs versus like Bitcoin bros now, and it's just like, you know, the old adages of fuck the government, and now it's just like, please, daddy, pump my bags. And I'm just like, God, like, do you guys all feel good about this? Like,
yeah,
we've never needed the government before, but now everything depends on them. And so I don't know, like, I'm not trying to make a prediction. I'm not trying to like be, you know, the big bear or like FUD everybody or whatever. I'm just trying to like voice the fact that like I personally feel uneasy looking at a bunch of people hyping each other up about ETH to 12K when I'm like focus on like 3,500 first. You know, or just recognizing that like, hey, we've been like mostly flat and bleeding for like a little bit. Like, what if it didn't right now? Like, what if it waited a little longer? You know, what if you know, the 4-year cycle is not like 100% over and done, but it's just like it's got a little addendum now. In that I mean, like, okay, you've got gigantic buyers, you got people with very deep pockets. You know, like Tom was saying yesterday, these are not people who know or who you know, are pushing super hard to like get the perfect average buy price. And I'm like, you know, clearly Tom knows more about this than I do. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, but also like if I was a hedge fund that really wanted to perform for you know, my clients or my investors or whatever, and I was like looking at the opportunity for some uncertainty to like push prices down to like get me a lower entry, I'd be like, yeah, why would I like try to pump everything up right now? I'm just going to keep focusing on my over the counter acquisitions of this. And I don't know, it's just like, I'm weird sentiments. Like someone posted in the Discord this morning, like, what about, did China sell all of its Bitcoin? You know, and like, oh, I hope not. It's like, why do you hope not?
Yeah.
You know, and on Crypto Panic this morning is a headline about the central bank of Czechia, you know, the finance minister or whatever, talking about wanting to invest billions of dollars in Bitcoin. And the number one comment on that thing was, please no. And
really?
Yeah. And I'm just like, yeah, right. Like, wasn't that the point? Like, am I the only one that just feels weird? Like looking at it, like
I don't think you are. I think you just express it differently. I think actually a lot of people feel like that. I personally have both excitement and concern at the prospect that governments around the world, major institutions, would want to get into Bitcoin. I am excited and concerned about that. I am more excited than I am concerned. I'm prepared for it. I see it as inevitable. And I honestly think it's going to happen this cycle. Like, I also don't think 12K ETH is a wild prediction. Buffster was saying Will's boy was the king of the bulls yesterday. And honestly, you know, Dunleavy was really bullish.
Yeah.
The case makes sense, but I am with you in this boat of like, well, listen, yeah, we're going to the other side of the ocean, but right now let's just keep like rowing the boat, paddling the oars.
Like I hope it's clear, you know, from if you've never seen me before, I'm not saying like, you know, the thing is doomed. It's just like maybe the timeline is messed up. You know, nothing says that it's got to do that. I mean, first of all, even if, let's just say that the cycle repeated itself exactly as it did last time, November is when it rips, and like from now until August or September, it's going to be shitty. Like maybe a little push in the spring, but like, you know, 2021 was like, does anyone remember how many bear market criers there were all summer long? Because it absolutely like just dumped into oblivion and everything cratered, and we was like, yeah, the whole thing's over. And then we made all-time highs in November, and then that was the top. And I'm just like, you know, be open to the idea that your timeline is messed up.
Yeah. I always tell people like it's good to have conviction, to act with conviction, and be prepared to pivot. Like, I don't think anybody really saw or even has a grasp now how quickly AI agents are going to change everything. I think that we're going to look back on this moment and be like, wow, I think it's going to happen a lot faster than we realize. I think generally speaking, humans, as I look back through history, have a bad estimation of like how quickly things will change.
Or slowly.
Or how slowly. But I think with tech, it's quickly. In retrospect, I would say.
But I think too, the other thing that is different now than, we talk about things that are different between last cycle and this cycle. And one of them being the sheer number of assets, from like thousands to millions, which is an unbelievably exponential increase. And also the involvement of institutions. People were like, last cycle, the institutions were going to get in. They didn't. Basically, none of them did. Maybe a few secret, like little hush, whatever, like get a few. Michael Saylor doesn't count. And now this time it's like, oh, these are institutions buying. They have a very different time horizon than your like average, retail swing trader who grew up on finance because of the GameStop Wall Street Bets explosion. Like, that's what brought a lot of people to this world of investing in finance who have never been involved in it before. And that is what they expect. They were trained and grown on that idea of stocks moving.
Well, and here's the other thing is that those institutions have been in crypto in other ways. And like you said, they don't mind the expense. People talk a lot about one of the institutions coming, brother, JP Morgan, Deutsche Bank, they're on chain. FedEx is on chain. BlackRock is on chain. And they will continue to be on chain in a big way in terms of the business they do, in terms of the assets they hold. And it just doesn't matter that Ethereum is slow and expensive. It's decentralized, it's secure, it's battle tested. You can do anything you want there. I wanted to answer this question because it fits this conversation well, and we can touch it lightly and get off it. I'm so sorry. Hydrangeas asked a minute ago about like FOMC. This is a macro indicator we'd usually turn to our boy Will for, but the FOMC is meeting the next 2 days, or maybe it's already started and this is day one. That's the Federal Open Market Committee. And I think it illustrates well, this is a committee that gets together to talk about interest rates, the Federal Reserve. And interest rates control the cost of borrowing money in our economy. And there's sort of a trickle-down effect. This is a very top macro thing, kind of like Trump's executive order. It is less speculative. It is more real. It is actual policy. And it's going to dictate how people feel. And we have news events like this. If you're new to this show, I've had a lot of new people in my audience recently. I know you have too, Alex, who are trying to get their head around the crypto space, the economic space, get a little more financial literacy. This is one of those indicators that's worth paying attention to, not freaking out about. For people who asked, the anticipation is that the Federal Reserve is going to maintain current federal funds rates between 4.25 and 4.5%. Usually these are like single digit percentages of interest rates, and they incrementally increase them like 0.5% or 0.25%.
Yep.
A whole percent is a lot. And there's been a lot of really weird executive action recently too. Like, the immigration debate, the deportations, conflict with other leaders, tariffs. So it's
just worth mentioning, like you said, that, like I was just commenting back to someone, that two things can be true at the same time. So it is unequivocally true that this is the most pro-crypto administration we've ever had. And I don't even like to say it's the first one that's been friendly.
That's right. It's the first. It's the first pro-crypto administration in the United States and around the world.
Please bear in mind, we've never had a friendly crypto administration ever, anywhere. There's never been a government that was like advocating for this industry.
Don't come for me.
And yet we built it into what it is, despite the fact that basically every governing body was hostile towards it. So one, keep that in mind. Two things can be true at the same time. And right now, intro policies here and actions that we're seeing are largely agreed upon by pretty much every economist I've read positions from to be inflationary, which means short-term chaos. And, I don't know, long-term, I do also believe, just for the record, that like sometimes you need to, break a few eggs to make an omelet kind of a thing. So, who knows where all of these things are going to end up if all these things come fully to fruition. Obviously I'm rooting for us. But the economy is like sketched out, nervous and uncertain right now, and markets hate uncertainty, and no one knows exactly where it's going to go or how it's going to go.
right.
And you've got like, the president and the chair of the Fed disagreeing, which who knows exactly which way that's going to go. Is presidential pressure going to amount to the Fed changing their course? It seems like no, but we don't know. We're living in the upside down most days. So I think it makes perfect. I've been saying this for how long, Evan, that like the market has no clue where it wants to go.
No.
Sure, crypto obviously wants the crypto to go up. It would be weird if we didn't, and we are a group of extremists in either direction. We are either extremely bearish or extremely bullish. And there's very rare that you find anyone who is just like moderately like, things are looking good. This policy could be helpful. We'll probably be flat for a while, but who knows? And of course, in crypto, if things are flat for a month, people assume that the worst bear market of all time is right around the corner because it's not either dumping or exploding up. And it's just like I said the other day, we are an industry primarily populated by gnats on meth. And
it's kind of what it feels like.
The idea
Man.
that like things could be boring for a few weeks blows people's minds.
Well, and the whole news cycle is that way.
Yeah,
we have more news events from more places around the world filtered to your TV, your phone, your news everywhere all the time. Yeah. You can get it. You can get that fix. And I think, Buffster, you just asked about like, will this whole change in Trump's, call for changes? Will that affect stuff? Will this affect stuff? Everything is going to affect stuff if you let it affect stuff.
Absolutely.
And the job of people like, Bob was saying here about like, I don't trust the U.S. not to mess it up. The job of people like Jerome Powell, the chair of the Federal Reserve, is first of all to know the money system, to know we're going to freak out, and to try to mitigate that as much as possible. A guy like that is boring. He's got to be boring. You want him to be boring. You don't want him to change the interest rates. You want him. I think when he talks, the market listens because, he's got so much influence at the top, but we want that certainty. So, when in doubt, zoom out. Going back to the start of our conversation, I'm not done Levy level bullish, like looking at the end of the year and having the champagne pop ready. But I mean, that's where we're going. I know the road will be rocky to get there. I don't think the macro picture has changed. It's exciting that we're here. It's exciting that crypto is more innovative, than ever before. We're about to get some clear, helpful regulations, we assume, from the incoming administration, the now here administration, and the incoming SEC, the CFTC, yada, yada, yada. Chris Dixon was on Unchained yesterday, and so, I had to clear my calendar and sit down and listen. And that was what he was talking about. He's like, I've had a lot of founders call me and just say, okay, so can we build now? There have been people that he has discouraged, that have been discouraged from getting in our industry because they just don't want to break the law, or they don't want to break a law that doesn't exist yet. And now they're feeling a little more excited about the kind of innovative things they can do. Everyday people are, entrepreneurs are, governments are, yada, yada.
Yeah, just, again, just remember that this stuff is going to move at the speed of government. And there are a few different ways that government action can happen. And I think a lot of people either just don't know or have forgotten that executive orders are not laws.
They're not laws.
They are directives from the president to an agency or a department to investigate doing XYZ, or for the applicable regulator or enforcer of whatever action is contained in the order to like investigate doing the thing, which is why none of them mean anything. So,
hey, buddy.
It's like if look at the one about the 22nd Amendment. It doesn't mean literally anything, and that's why a bunch of lawsuits have already opened up and nothing's actually changed. So the crypto executive orders.
What's the 22nd Amendment? I'm so behind. I'm so behind. There's so many amendments, and that's one I don't know.
Birthright citizenship.
Thank you.
14th Amendment. Sorry, 14th or 22nd. Somebody correct me.
Oh my God! Somebody help us.
But the point is, like, if you look at the crypto executive order, it does not necessarily do anything. It establishes intent, which could be bullish. That can be indicative enough to move markets, and markets move on speculation. So we don't need anything. Thank you. 14th.
Booze is 22nd. Fact check yourself, brother.
So that's, you know, that's basically, I mean, that just, as you look at, you know, Congress coming in, and yes, Congress is more friendly to the industry than they've ever been. But like, does anyone need a reminder about how unbelievably slow Congress is, and how many people there are, and how they all disagree, and how they all have their own agendas, and how they all want X, Y, and Z and whatever? And so is it encouraging for the industry that Cynthia Lummis is heading a new task force or a new committee or subcommittee to do X, Y, and Z, whatever, and it's pretty stocked with people who are into it? Yeah, of course it is. Can they unilaterally pass legislation? No. So it's one of those things where you just have to remember that, you know, you're not going to see actual legislative updates to the industry status in the United States for a little bit. It takes time. And so a company who wants to move here and do whatever, I was just reading a post on X yesterday about from a crypto tax attorney who was just talking about the Pengu airdrop and how still unbelievable, Evan, we've talked about this before, how unbelievably backwards income tax as it relates to cryptocurrency is. Because this individual had received the Pengu airdrop at a time when it was worth $280,000, didn't sell a single one of the tokens. It's significantly decreased in value, and it is now worth like 80 something. But based on the tax rate at the time when he received the airdrop, he owes $87,000 in taxes, which is more than the current value of his token stash from the airdrop, which is insane.
No.
Because the way that income tax with these assets work, the tax is calculated at the time of receipt and the time that you have dominion and control over the asset.
Dang.
And since you can't, since you control it when it's in your wallet, that's how the IRS looks at it.
Such a costly penguin.
But the fact that exists, so owning this asset, which has appreciated, has basically now cost this guy, he's going to lose if he were to sell it right now to pay taxes, he would lose $7,000,
and largely without his consent or permission. Like we talk about escrow sometimes. You know, like, wouldn't it be great if you had an airdrop that you could acknowledge and hold, but like also, you know, wait to receive until it was time, or opt not to receive if you didn't want it for your tax situation, or if we just had better laws in terms of caught up with what we do.
To this comment here, you know, that's ridiculous. It doesn't work that way when your home depreciates. No, the government's not there when you lose money, but you can bet your ass they want to be there to get their cut when you make it. That's kind of the point. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if anyone thinks that they're not going to get their cut from all of this, or figure out how best to get the cut, you're kidding yourself. So I mean, this is why like crypto OGs and the people who like built the industry are not a huge fan of mega government involvement, which is why it's weird that all of the new people just want the government to ram their huge hand into this. And the other thing I've been saying is, like, even if this administration is super friendly to crypto and really boosts the industry and does all of this kind of stuff, but they don't do anything to fix the fact that it's politically divided, if the power flips back to the other party in 4 or 8 years or whatever, that other party now has this thing that, like, oh, crypto is a Republican agenda. We need to attack that because that's a Republican ideal, and our only priority is to undo what our predecessor did. That's what every president does. Their first big day is basically just like, what can I delete from the last how many years? You don't want them to do that with all the crypto stuff in 4 or 8 years. So you have to take strides to also fix that problem. And for some reason, this like apolitical entity, this industry that should just be for everybody, has become very political.
Alex, can I ask you a slightly related but kind of different question? You have a trust.
Yes.
You set one up a couple years ago, and it's a financial instrument that a lot of people are curious about. People don't know much about. Would you say you use your trust well? Or is it something, because I want to get a trust. I want to learn more about it and the reason I ask is because we're talking about airdrop, taxes, government. I feel like that is one of the best ways to take advantage of strategic legal tax avoidance, is to get a trust. I don't know enough about it myself.
It depends on, there's lots of different kinds of trusts. There's lots of different like descriptors, or I don't know what the word is, like features, I guess, that a trust can have. So like mine is irrevocable. non-grantor, discretionary, like all of these things that mean, I'm not the one to explain it. This is not.
No,
like
I get it. I know
something
you're
that
not
I'm
an expert. I
in.
really just wanted to know if it had been something you'd felt you'd taken advantage of. And it,
Yeah, I
just
mean-
as somebody who has one, I know you wouldn't recommend the way you did it, but if you had any
No.
thoughts about it, because I've had a lot of comments about that lately, and it's something I need to learn more about myself. I'd like to learn by doing.
I think that I've used it well enough to
Yeah.
where it does what I need it to. The way that I mitigate tax obligation using the trust is basically to make the trust the entity that buys and sells. And since those are tax deferred transactions, you basically just kind of kick the can down the road.
Yeah.
Until you either quit using it or dissolve it or whatever.
Okay, so I resolve to get a trust, and then I will be the guinea pig who talks about it while I do it and explain it to everybody. I am going to
And
New
share
Orleans.
the resources, because
I will.
there are not a lot of people that set these kinds of trusts up, and there's lots of different kinds, and they can cost. So, like for example, ours was expensive because the manager charged a percentage based on the number of assets you sold to the trust, which included things like my house and my cars and all that sort of stuff. And then of course, the benefit is that it's a tax deferral engine. But yeah, I'm definitely not the expert accountant to talk through it all.
The question from way up there is, will Alex be your beneficiary? Fact check yourself, brother. Obviously, I will tell you, Alex. I say to Kim all the time, if something happens to me, talk to Alex. He'll tell you how to get my Bitcoin. He'll figure it out for you. It'll be okay, baby. We do have a lot of really good rapid fire questions. Do you want to do a
Yeah.
couple?
And say there was one that I think we can touch on just because I think it's kind of silly. Just asking about DeepSeek. Obviously, we talked about it a little bit yesterday. I just want to point out that there are two things about the DeepSeek drama that make me laugh in like a why are we doing this kind of a laugh, like a sad laughter. One of them is, if DeepSeek was built using NVIDIA chips, why did NVIDIA's stock have to crash so hard when they launched?
Oh,
Two. Okay, I lied. Three things. Number two is, why in a capitalistic society and economy are we upset when something emerges on the market that could provide competition to better the products and services that we're paying for right now? Seems like kind of the point.
yeah.
So my rewritten headline about the DeepSeek drama was supposed capitalists freak out about new competition. And then
You're on a roll.
and then three, why do we suddenly believe the CCP that they did exactly what they said they did for exactly as much money as they said they did, when we know that one of their primary objectives is to destabilize? All of a sudden we trust everything they said?
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of, this is not my opinion. This is my aggregated opinion after reading a bunch of machine learning and AI engineers and other developers and people weigh in on this whole thing. There's just no way they did that for $5 million. That's laughable. And it's
Interesting.
insane that everyone believed them without a single iota of fact checking or digging or questioning.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see it. And somebody asked about the DeepSeek token. As far as I know, it's a meme. It's not official. It's smart because when something culturally relevant happens, you want to have the meme token to speculate on it. And if it's your meme token, you get the cut of the fees, all that stuff, the privilege to rug people or whatever. And if you want to launch your own meme token, we can show you how. Don't advertise it on social media. Don't tell people it's part of your brand. Don't encourage them to buy it. You might be safer that way, though, than trying to build an innovative crypto company under at least the last administration. But I digress. Someone also asked about
Nothing Burger.
Yeah. Someone also asked about real quick AI agents, because we talked about it at the start. DeepSeek. If you want to start playing with DeepSeek, you can. My understanding of their privacy policy, though, is that like everybody, they collect your information. And if you're not comfortable with sending your keystrokes to the Chinese Communist Party, you probably shouldn't do it. If you're not
Maybe
comfortable
don't.
with sending your keystrokes to the US government or OpenAI, you probably shouldn't do GPT. Venice AI, though it is debated, is probably the best solution we have right now. I'm not advocating you buy it. It's a real hot token whose price went like this and will probably go like this because of the big airdrop. but they do have a usable product that will allow you to use GPT, DeepSeek. And though there are contested like opinions about just how private it actually is, it's undoubtedly more secure than, more private than OpenAI or DeepSeek. A lot of it lives and dies on your machine or gets wiped. And they're working to integrate blockchain in more meaningful ways over time so that eventually you'll have an agent that only responds to you, that only lives on your local devices. And Eric Voorhees, the founder's argument is this is a critical thing that we need for all AI infrastructure going forward, because, you know, if I can see your trusted agent interaction, then I can really take big time advantage of you. Alex, I had another question. Somebody asked, I'm paraphrasing. They asked, first of all, what would you say about getting involved in crypto and smart contracts in Africa? And the way that they phrased it was third world countries. And I just want to go on the record as saying, like, first of all, the African continent has many countries that are leading the world in crypto adoption. Ghana, South Africa, Niger, all these places have like a majority of the population has used crypto. Stablecoins are big there. Kenya has a lot of infrastructure for blockchain. And if you want to get involved, I highly recommend you check out some of the resources on warpcast.com or Base Network more broadly. This is Coinbase's blockchain, because I don't know about you, Alex. Did you see when we were on Warpcast pretty actively? And Tori, maybe you know this too. I feel like they were doing a lot to try and reach people on the African continent. And Trezor has a program called Trezor Academy. That is specifically oriented around development in places we would call the global south, but they do a lot of stuff to get people onboarded to building crypto solutions in many different African nations. I think they have a place in, they had an initiative I saw in Cameroon. But I wanted to ask you, did you have any resources or suggestions for somebody who's got an internet connection, is somewhere, anywhere in the world, and wants to maybe learn, take a step to be a little more savvy in smart contract development? What would you recommend?
I mean, I'm probably not the best one to talk to about smart contract development. I would honestly say social media and just like finding and following engineers. There's quite a few of them that post and talk about it. That's who I would ask. I would ask someone like Mike about, you know, better resources to kind of get started in learning. I would say that you can get started learning by, you know, training a large language model to help teach you a little bit about the basics to get started. It's my first stop now. Whenever I'm like trying to put together the basic framework to learn something new, I use ChatGPT for it to just put the pieces together, write myself an outline, you know, get a little overview of whatever. And then I have something to go out and fact check, or like, you know, hey, help me break this down into plain English so that I can understand it, whatever, I'll, you know, do something like that. And then as far as actual places to go, the decentralized options are your friend. I don't know what centralized options people have in all sorts of different countries. I get that all the time. You know, like, what's my best one in Kenya? And I'm like, honestly, like, I'm going to go Google it. So you could do the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Craig says, hey guys, hope you're both well. I'm doing pretty well, recovering from pneumonia. Alex has got a million dogs. Hey, Alex, I have a question, a rapid fire question for you. I saw Christina's video the other day about that couch it took her forever to crochet that nobody wanted to use until everybody else wanted to use it. And my question is, for people who know Alex's dogs, play along in the comments, how many Arlos does it take to make a meatball? Does it take to make a Zula?
Well, if we go just by poundage, there's about 5 Arlos in a meatball.
Okay.
And there's about 3.5 meatballs. No, it's not true. There's probably 2.5 meatballs in a Zula. This is a gross misrepresentation.
I appreciate it. We're going to change the metric system to
that was the worst inside joke for anyone who has no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. If you don't have any idea what we're talking about, but you just want to ask us a critical question, this is the place for you. Welcome to our friends on Facebook, our friends on LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, wherever you are, whenever you listen, and whatever level of experience you're at. There's no such thing as a dumb question here. Obviously, we talk a lot of inside baseball because we are absolutely nerds.
Don't come for me.
But we would love to hear your critical question. Tonight, we are going to have a great conversation later with Dennis Porter. He's been a friend of the show and been here before, and he's coming back to talk about Bitcoin advocacy, the future of Bitcoin policy. We're live Monday through Thursday at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for those after dark episodes. You can catch all of our past episodes, including our expert interviews with folks like Hester Peirce, or our conversations with friends of the show like Casey Craig, who I think is coming up right now. Hell yeah. At our YouTube channel, which is findable by searching Faceless Labs or The Rise Up Morning Show. And ladies and gentlemen, it is our good friend. Please welcome Casey Craig. Welcome to the show, Casey. How are you? Oh, hang on. Wait. Don't tell me how you are.
Hold on. Evan,
tell me how you are now. How are you?
Okay, I'm wonderful. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I love your glasses.
Awesome.
They're not clear,
Thank
but
you.
they'll do.
Thank you. What's that?
He said they're not clear.
The frames are not clear, but they'll do for now.
Yes, they will. Okay, now you guys are all set up. What's going on? Good to see you guys.
Good to see you too. Good to see you too. Always good to have you. We're just hanging out, answering crypto questions. And what about you? What's going on?
Man, just been on a couple of meetings this morning. You know, when you work with people in different time zones all around the world, it's like sometimes you're taking calls at 5 a.m. And so that's the fun part about crypto, is that there's no sense of normalcy ever.
For people who are watching not on TikTok, we are hanging out with our call-in guest, Casey Craig. She's a friend of the show. She works in the industry. Most recently, she has been raising money and attention for Euphoria. And I'm curious to know where in the world you're calling in from today. Where are you at?
Yeah, so I'm in Pennsylvania presently. I've spent a month here after the holidays visiting family, and then off to Colorado for a while in a couple of days.
Yeah, we're going to see you there. I look forward to it. I'm excited about it. And I want to know, for people who don't know, can you tell them what you've been up to with Euphoria and how they can get involved or support you?
Yeah, certainly. So we've been building a mobile app called Euphoria, and we're building it on Mega ETH, which is super exciting. And so the app will be going live here in a few months. It's not presently live. There's currently a wait list that you can sign up for, and you can join our community. You can follow us on socials. We'll be doing an AMA on Friday. So if you want to come ask some questions, learn a little bit more about it, then please feel free to come hang.
That would be great. Casey, I don't know if you caught the start of our conversation, but we were talking about this present macro moment. As the days pass, people are simultaneously calling for the top, then they're saying it's the bottom, then they're calling for $250,000 Bitcoin, and they're saying, are you bullish because you're just over leveraged? What the heck is going on? And how are you feeling at this moment in the market?
I think that at this moment in the market, I'm feeling a little bit weird, right? I think that this has been like one of the trickier markets to navigate, and anybody who's going to tell you that it hasn't, I think is like probably not being honest. And so, I mean, I'm truthfully in a lot of hedged positions because I don't know what's going to happen in the market right now, right? So like, I'm a big meme trader. There's a lot of meme positions that I'm in that I'm super long spot, but I'm short perps because I'm a little bit nervous as to what's going to happen. And so I'm trying to take a little bit more of a delta neutral or a hedged position on a lot of my positions right now because we don't have any major directional bias. So I'd say like presently, that's kind of what I'm doing and what my strategy is. And honestly, just being aggressive and profit taking, like with memes and stuff, that's where a lot of my focus is, especially the larger cap memes. It's just like, take your money and run because it's the hot ball of money is just rotating too quickly anymore to be holding things long term.
I think the $1 to $2 billion meme category has gotten really risky and dangerous. There was a time maybe 2 weeks ago before the Trump token launched that I was like, you know what? Pengu, Bonk token, like no problem. They're going to have a lot of attention and potential liquidity. It'll be easy for them to get from 1 billion to 2 billion or 2 billion to 5 billion. And now I'm like, well, thanks a lot. You know what I mean? Like a couple tens of billions of dollars of liquidity just getting thrown at this token and taken from other places and shaking up the market. It's like, it's like shaking up a snow globe. And now just a bunch of flakes is kind of how it feels.
Yeah, I think that's the problem, is that a lot of people thought that it was going to be just all of these new people and capital that were coming into the market. But what they don't realize is that it's just a liquidity suck. Like what happens is whenever something like Trump comes, it just sucks the liquidity out of everything else in the market and it accrues there. And now, yes, there are some new people that come and join. But one of the interesting statistics that I saw after the fact was that
Yes.
there was a massive new amount of people onboarded via Moonshot. And so that's great, right? Sounds really good. We've got this easy onboarding tool for newcomers. And then we saw that I think 95% of them didn't go on to do an additional transaction on chain after buying Trump.
97.
Whoa. 97?
Yep.
Wow. That's rough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which,
so it's like,
to be clear,
Go ahead.
bullish for Moonshot. Good job, Moonshot. Product market fit. Well done. Not much else. So, Casey, one of the things I selfishly wanted to bring you up here for was also to get a little bit of help from you about Mega ETH, because it's come up in conversation a little bit. And I was listening to Simplified the other day, which is for anyone on X and looking for a really, really good space. I truly can't think of a single one that I would recommend, even on the same playing field as Simplified. It's run by Sam and Matt Stefanina, and then also Sam's partner, Knock. And it's just like really, really good commentary. And the panelists that he gets are so good. And I've discovered this creator on Twitter, ICO Beast, from Sam, and I am obsessed with him. His takes are hilarious, and they are my love language now. Really smart, like deceptively intelligent individual who kind of masks it by shit posting. He's Mert coded. And so Mega ETH came up a little bit, and the general consensus was like, Sam goes, yeah, I don't know what Mega ETH is. I've heard of it, but I don't know anything about it. Like, can anyone help me? And it was just like crickets. And then finally someone was like, Sam, none of us understand Mega ETH. It's the nerd mafia. And then he's like, there's something about Eigenlayer, and everyone's like, oh, okay, yeah, over our heads. We just moved on. So, Casey, can you help us a little bit understand what Mega ETH is?
Absolutely. So I think that like nerd mafia is a great way to describe it. I think that it can be distilled down into a couple of really, really simple points. I think it just depends on where you're getting your information from and how it's described, because really the biggest benefits to something like Mega ETH are super technical innovations that enable certain things. So I'll explain about those, but I think that's why some of the times when you hear about it, you're like, what the hell are they even talking about? Because it is like deep nerd things that make Mega ETH incredible. So specifically, what is Mega ETH? It's a layer 2 built on Ethereum. Why do we need another L2, right? That's kind of a meme of a question. Well, Mega ETH is different than anything that we have presently today. From like the actual protocol architecture, the blockchain architecture of Mega ETH is very, very different. So one of the biggest things about Mega ETH is that it is extraordinarily fast. That's like the big shilling point of Mega ETH, right? How is it so fast? Well, it's not just a little bit faster than anything else. It is like beyond faster than anything that exists on the market presently, and I'll explain that as well. But how does it get there? So they've taken a very, I'd say, opinionated approach to how they actually like handle transactions on Mega ETH. And it's what's enabled them to just optimize to be the most performant chain on the market. And one thing that I mentioned earlier to Alex that I like about Mega ETH is they don't try and claim to be anything that they're not. So when I say they've taken an opinionated approach to their chain, what happens is they're basically transactions are separated. There's like the try not to get like too nerdy with it to not lose people. So when you have a traditional blockchain, some of the main hurdles come from the overhead, like the consensus overhead in the transactions, and all of the things that have to happen for a transaction to actually happen on the back end. So with Mega ETH, we've got the execution has been separated from consensus. Okay. So basically what that means is they're hyper optimizing for the fastest like execution and Merkleization environment that we can possibly have, which is
it optimistic?
It is.
Can I take a crack at just simplifying it for the people who are scrolling? to say
Yes.
a blockchain network is not just one computer or one company executing your transactions like a bank with a lot of employees handling things in one place. It is many computers on many different, internet connections all around the world. And that's one of the reasons we love it. In order to write something on the ledger that is the blockchain, they all have to agree on the record. But some blockchains, like this one, make the process faster. Instead of asking every computer to talk to each other and check the whole damn record, every time somebody wants to do something, they just say, you know what? We're going to assume this is okay. Based on a limited amount of information, we're going to batch this up with a bunch of other transactions. We're not going to make you wait. We'll go back and check it later. You're good. Keep going. It's kind of like when they move you through airport security. You're good. Keep going. And they'll check you later if there's a problem, kind of thing. Fair to say?
That is fantastic to say. So I appreciate that
No problem.
explanation there.
I didn't mean to rug you.
Yeah.
I want you to get swings at the bat, but I also was like, you know what? We can do this. We can do this.
No, that was far simpler. Yeah, so it's the TSA pre-check of crypto. I like how I'm going to start using that for what is an optimistic roll-up. It's the TSA pre-check of crypto. So like, again, whenever you have something like this, you have the L2 that allows for this extremely performant environment, but then you inherit the security and censorship resistance and finalization of the Ethereum layer 1, which is, the most secure and decentralized blockchain that exists. So it's really kind of making the best of both worlds here. And, I saw another comment about like, when somebody says it's the fastest blockchain, I get scared or I get nervous. I hear you. Like that is typical marketing speak. But if anybody knows me, I'm not often like wowed by anything or impressed by anything. And we wouldn't have chosen to build our product on Mega ETH if it wasn't something that was actually different, right? So like because of the the hardware specialization and the node specialization that they're doing, it enables kind of an entirely new ballgame for the types of transactions that you can do. And so they're gonna have about 100,000 transactions per second is the target. So probably won't go live with that. But if you look at it practically, like right now, Solana's doing 2,000 to 3,000 transactions per second. And like on their good days, maybe about 4,000. On the most recent congested days, maybe doing like 500 to 800 transactions per second. So the fact that Mega ETH is doing 100,000 transactions per second, it comes down to like the super small block times as well, right? So like there will be one of the big things that Mega ETH often says is that they're the first real-time blockchain, and that's because those block times are coming down to, nearly instant. They're like sub 10 millisecond block times.
Mm-hmm.
So for another piece of context too, just in case you've heard us talk about this before, when Casey says like parallel execution for transaction confirmation, that's actually pretty much how SWI works as well. Different type of consensus mechanism, but that's like what makes SWI so fast. And so, the idea of bringing that sort of, so SWI uses Narwhal and Tusk consensus, which basically splits the transaction into two chunks and then does those two things together instead of doing one and then the other. It's like separating traffic into two lanes and having an extra traffic attendant like checking cars at the same time, even though they're both going to merge back onto the same highway at the end. So that's kind of exciting to like see that idea brought in, because I don't, maybe Daniel could tell me, I don't know that something like Narwhal and Tusk or parallel execution has been used in other blockchains.
Oh, speaking of Daniel, he says, according to Daniel, Mega ETH reaches 14,000 TPS right now because it has one active node at a time. Interesting. He says, I wonder the security trade-offs. Alex, I can't tell you. Just for people, again,
Daniel.
To bring it down to a real elementary level, if you think of a blockchain like a notebook, a blockchain is a list of transactions. It's a list of information pertaining to who did what in what order to give us a record of truth, so that we don't need to trust, again, an intermediary like the bank to keep the record, because they might make a mistake. They might be tempted to fool you. A computer, it's like a calculator. It just does the math. Doesn't really care. And so the information is linked to each piece of information before it, and they're published in bits called blocks, which are like the lines on a page represent transactions. Well, if you have a smaller page, then you can write a page faster, flip to the next one. You can build a blockchain the same way you can build a book with 1,000 pages, with pages really big, with 3 pages that are bound together next to each other, with 2 pages that are bound together next to each other. You can make them really tiny. You can fill them up with poetry. You can fill them up with prose. You can fill them up with financial data. That's how blockchains work. And the $1 million question is to do different things, to coordinate with other people in ways that matter. Financial stuff, storytelling, identity, record keeping. What does the best blockchain architecture look like? And those are the kind of problems we're trying to solve right now, and why people like the team at MegaETH are taking a swing at the bat. They're, sounds like they're making a couple of bets. They want to be really secure, but they also want to be fast, which is tough to do at the same time. They want to be cheap. They want to be performant. Different chains prioritize different things.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I like about this space right now and the direction that it's going is I think that initially we had all these debates around like the monolithic thesis or like the L2 thesis, right, of like a modular world existing where there's lots and lots of blockchains that all talk to each other. And I think that what we're starting to see is that there are worlds where like, yeah, MegaETH isn't going to be the perfect blockchain for certain things, but that's fine because that's not what they're optimized for. Like they're optimized to be the most performant chain. So oftentimes use cases like trading and gaming and things where you need to have that sub-millisecond latency or sub 10 millisecond latency where you can have high frequency trading and you can have actual good gameplay that can exist on blockchains because it can happen at that speed, right? So yeah, there's going to be some centralization trade-offs. There's going to be some things like that, but that's again kind of the ethos that I like. Is they're like, yeah, we've got a big old beefy sequencer, and we're more centralized than some of the other than Ethereum, right? But that's why we rely on Ethereum for decentralization, security, censorship resistance, because that shit is slow and it is very, very expensive. So we're going to go take all of the processing power and the fast things that need to happen, do them up here. These guys can do some balances.
Yeah. And just for anyone curious about how nerdy this whole thing truly is, it was founded by 2 PhDs that found each other. One of them got their PhD in low latency, low latency data center computing. And then, and I don't remember what the other one's PhD is in, but one of the Twitter bios that I saw yesterday from one of the team members was paid $200,000 in tuition to go to Harvard when ETH was $80. Ask me anything. So it's a pair of comp sci PhDs who then hired the biz dev lead from Consensus and launched a protocol. So there you go.
Casey, here's a good question. Who's a competitor to MegaETH, would you say?
I mean, in different ways, right? There's different competitors. So I would say something like Monad or Eclipse or even Solana in a certain way, like Hyperliquid. They're all very different though. So they don't I would say they're a competitor from what they're all the app capture that they're all trying to achieve and the type of transactions that they're trying to optimize for, but in different ways, right? There's nobody doing what MegaETH's doing, one to one.
Two different kinds of competitors though, right? Like who is trying to do something similar at the tech level, and then who does retail think they're competing against? Because retail will say that Sei and Sui are competitors, even though they're wildly differently purposed blockchains. That's just my go-to example. So in that sense, though, you would say basically every blockchain that's harder, better, faster, stronger than Ethereum is kind of in the same retail category.
Yeah, kind of. And I think that at the end of the day,
that hurts your retail soul to say, so I'm sorry, but you know what I mean.
I think at the end of the day though, retail actually doesn't care what blockchain they're using until they see and feel a difference. So why do people like Solana? Because it's fast and it's cheap. So we can make all the technical arguments at the end of the day that we want to, but at a certain point, the trade-offs between 400 millisecond block times and 500 millisecond block times, that doesn't really matter. But when you look at what Solana has been able to capture, which is, again, creating that environment that's super fast, super cheap, and it has great apps on it for people to use, like Phantom, like Photon, like, I mean, I hate to say it, but Pump Fun, like there's a lot of things for people to do there. So that's kind of the approach with something like Mega ETH, is where, you know, it enables different use cases that you can't do in other places. And if you tried to do them in other places, they would kind of suck. So I think that, like, again, the competition doesn't really come down to like who's doing the same exact things. I think it's going to come down to who captures the best apps. And that's why I think that that's another reason why we built on Mega ETH, is because of the actual culture that surrounds Mega ETH. I wrote an article about it the other day. We've got something that's called the Mega Mafia, which is where, like, it's like the builders program where all of the apps that are building on Mega ETH come together and like work on things. And there's like a core ethos among everybody that's like, hey, we want to create a bunch of 0-to-1 apps on this 0-to-1 blockchain. And we want to create, like, my personal philosophy, I'm getting on a tangent now, so I'll chill. But my personal philosophy is that, like, value accrues from the apps, right? So why is Solana, I can't read the comments because I'm laughing. So, like, why has Solana continued to do as well as it's done versus other places like Base and XYZ, right? It's because of the apps that exist on Solana. There are plenty of environments that are super fast and that are super cheap, but Solana is accessible and it's attractive because of the things that you can do there. Why do so many people, when you think about like Polymarket, for example, do you think about the Polygon blockchain? No, you don't. You think about using Polymarket, the app, right? And Polygon just happens to be how you can get there. And so again, I think that at the end of the day, like, you can, the value accrues down from the apps, but the protocol enables what apps can exist there and what apps can be good. So I think, again, for like high frequency trading, for high throughput games, and anything that requires some kind of real time, low latency interaction, that's where I'm placing my bets on Mega ETH.
I want to go a step further and say, again, somebody I think who speaks really well on this, in addition to Casey, is our guy, Chris Dixon. He just was on, excuse me, the Unchained podcast with Laura Shin. And one of the things he said that goes one step further is it like, yes, the network will support apps that give it value, but what gives the apps value? It's users. It doesn't really matter what your app does. It doesn't really matter what blockchain it's on. If you've got 1 billion people who want to use this thing, who want to gather in this place, who want to transact, whatever, like, that's the thing to bet on. Almost nothing else matters. Like, what color is it? What's the name? What's the branding? That's not important. If 1 billion people value it, it will be valuable. And so if you're trying to compare these things, I don't know. I think that's a smart approach. I think the smartest blockchains have a mix of attracting builders. They've got great infrastructure. They've attracted builders. They've incentivized building, but they also do things to create those network effects. The users. It's a circular sort of relationship where this thing influences that thing and they're all tied together. But, I think we're going to see more and more specialization. I think we're going to see more and more mafias emerging around pieces of infrastructure, the way we see cities built up over time. Some people go to Austin because it's the newer, cheaper Silicon Valley. Some people go to Atlanta because they want to be an actor and LA is too expensive. Some people go to New York because it's where everything is and they just want to be there, baby. And then some people go to Montana because they can't stand socializing with more than 4 people through the year. You know what I mean? Like, depending on where you live, what you value, you go where you live, depending on what you value, kind of thing.
And it's, Casey, to your point too, why is Solana winning? In general, I would say that it is almost unequivocally because of culture, and I even don't like to say that it sounds silly anymore, because maybe it did, but truly, if you think about it, like, why is Apple as popular as it is? Not because it is technologically the most superior thing to walk the earth, but because people are entranced by the culture and the vibe and the aesthetic. And Solana took the first like real major stand in Web3 at cultivating culture that was attractive. And the fact that it is fast and cheap just means that culture can actually build there. But no one would ever tell you that Solana is the only fast, cheap network. And so I think that things like Mega ETH give me a vibe that like they are interested in culture, but a very different kind of culture, and not necessarily trying to like dominate the world and be the single biggest network of all time, but to be specialized, good at what they do, and attract a very specific group of people to do a very specific kind of thing for people. And I think the biggest theme we're going to see emerge in app creation and app development in Web3 over the next how many years, Abstract is kind of, leaning into this as a branding item, is just the idea of hiding the wires. Because, we've now gotten past the point where like, okay, we're aware the tech exists, do something with it. Give me something I can do with it. I'm sick of only speculating on tokens. I would like to use these things. Because spoiler alert, if no one ever uses it, none of our speculation means, jack shit. So that's why I'm interested in Mega ETH, because I look at the website and I'm like, this is clearly built by a very specific person for a very specific person, and it's built very well. The language is written very well by a specific person for a specific person. And I just get massive nerd vibes. And whenever insane nerds like do things, that's what I try to pay attention to.
Also, the merch is fire.
It's so good. Yeah. Make Ethereum great again. Hilarious.
Yeah, we had Blake from Myosin on our show the other day, and we met him over in Prague, and he was just telling us about this hat that he had that said that. And I was like, oh, I need it in my life. Casey.
That's MEGA. That's Mega. Make Ethereum great again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is, a point for them. Casey, I wanted to ask you a couple of questions about if you were us and you were getting to talk to Dennis Porter tonight from the Satoshi Action Fund, a well-informed, probably knows something about the future of Bitcoin policy, or at least has an agenda, what questions would you ask him?
I would ask him what he thinks the greatest challenges are that are presented presently because of this newfound legislation that we have. Like we have a lot of positive things that are happening. We have a lot of positive shifts in Congress, but asking him like, what are the biggest hurdles that we need to overcome right now? So I think that that's an important conversation to have. I would ask him, honestly, I like to ask some of these guys macro things, because a lot of what they say is like Dennis is awesome. He's fantastic. He does very, very great work. But I think that it's important to hear like from the people who are in Washington and stuff, like how is the macro environment actually impacting the way that people think about policy towards Bitcoin and blockchain? And I'm not sure that he's going to talk about it, but I would ask him, what do you think the repercussions are of the Trump coin launching? Like, what do you think that this sentiment shift has done as far as the work that you do, Dennis, to make Bitcoin a serious thing that people are considering? And now we have something like this happen. And again, like, I'm all for economic freedom, right? So I'm not even going to say that I'm mad that it happened, but I am mad that it has potentially hindered some progress that we've made in the space.
I agree.
Thank you. That's a good question.
Yeah. This is totally separate topic, but I'm happy to introduce you guys to Mega ETH at ETH Denver as well.
Yeah, we're going to ETH Denver. Get excited about it. Let me say for people back home, Tori asked that too. Did I hear someone is going to ETH Denver? If you don't have the chance to get out much, but you want to get out, you want to do something for yourself, go to a crypto conference. And ETH Denver is, for my money, the best. You can get tickets for free by becoming involved in SporkDAO. Get active on their Discord. You don't have to. I spend 5 minutes there a year when I buy my ETH Denver ticket for free. It's great. The conference is killer. It attracts wonderful people. And if you can't go, we're going to go and we'll tell you about it. So I would love to meet them. And I would like to go to a Hot Pot DAO dinner. That's what I want to do more than meet just Mega ETH. I want to go to Hot Pot DAO. I'm here
Bang's
for the food.
The coolest. Yeah, like Bang is like Shu Yao. She's the one that went to Harvard that has the funny bio. She is like one of the coolest people in crypto. She's super funny. She's brilliant. Definitely recommend checking out. If you are interested in checking out Mega ETH things, definitely follow Brother Bang, who's Shu Yao, and follow 0x Bread Guy. He does a little bit more on the technical explainer side of things. And then Nomic for the vibes.
Okay. We're gonna put those. Send them to our Telegram thing if you have time and you don't mind, and then we'll throw them in the Discord for people to follow. And we will definitely be going live from Denver. We got a place there. I don't think we're gonna join you in Breckenridge beforehand. I'm so sorry. At least I'm not. I wish I could. I don't think. Okay. I think I've got too much to do. I'm recovering from pneumonia, and I still need to do some tax prep. We're gonna have a tax class later. Casey, that's the other question is. When are you going to have time, and what would you teach if you had the opportunity to sit down in a classroom and let us promote your educational work and pay you to teach a class? Would you do it, and what would you teach people?
Yes, I'd be happy to. I wouldn't teach about taxes. That would be the thing I wouldn't talk about unless the call was not recorded. Then maybe I would. Maybe we could chat then.
Right, you heard it here
just
first,
think,
folks.
just think about it.
Turn into Rise Up, where we're teaching tax avoidance with Casey Craig.
Which is a legal American pastime, I might add. So
Rise Up After Dark only. It can't be the morning version. It has to be on the After Dark.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to answer now, but think about it, because I'm going to teach how to use Coinly to do your crypto taxes. Will has got a class this Thursday. I think there's like one spot left where he's doing an intro to technical analysis. And we were also going to do this semester some nights in the meme coin casino, just because people need to know what it's like to strap their own helmet on and get the bat swung at them from all directions and how to avoid the pitfalls and things like that. So, it's always open.
Sign me up for the shitcoin casino, baby. That's I'm happy to chat there.
Okay, great.
Y'all put your helmets on. I'm coming with the bat.
What are you playing around with? Well, you said you're trading a lot of meme coins. Do you use a bot to submit your transactions, like a Bonk or a Banana Gun or something like that, a Photon? You're playing?
It's actually all three. So like you literally named the three that I use. I primarily use Photon and Banana Gun, but I also use BonkBot for things as well. But yeah, so I think that it's nice to have the edge of doing that. And then it just makes it so much simpler to like see what you're doing. You get better execution on your transactions, yada, yada.
A lot of people have been asking me lately about crypto trading bots. And I think what they mostly mean is like some way to automate my crypto trading to make a lot of money passively. And what we're talking about here is an interface that you interact with the way you send a text message. A lot of them are in Telegram. Some of them have their own website or app, and they will create a wallet for you. And you can send text messages like, for example, if there's a meme coin I want to buy, I copy the contract address, I paste it into the text, I hit send, and it'll be like, great. Here's this token. How much do you want to buy? And it's got buttons for like, how much I usually buy. I can set a limit order so that if it hits a particular target, a buy or sell will automatically execute. And some of them even have advanced features like copy trading. If I'm like, oh, damn, Casey's such a good trader and I just don't have the time, I can set it up so that every time she trades, I execute a trade too. And they're advantageous because they're a lot lighter, meaning faster than a whole website or app interface. When Trump Coin came out, a lot of people were getting your transaction has failed. They were using Coinbase, they were using Robinhood. The interfaces couldn't take it. They just weren't set up the same way a bot is meant to be. It's like a fighter jet. It's in, it's out, it's fast, it's cheap, it's great. And we have a tutorial on Banana Gun specifically, but it's way better. Forget about the trading bots that are, give them $100 and they auto trade for you. That's probably not worth your time, especially if you're like a sub-level 1 user. But definitely check out Banana Gun, BonkBot, PhotonBot. We'll put them in the Discord.
Yeah. Can I be saucy for a moment?
Yeah.
I have a question. People are often they're often commenting like, it's gambling, like you can lose money. Yeah, it's for entertainment purposes. It's fun. Yeah. Like, why do casinos exist? Why does betting on horse racing exist? Why does betting on sports exist? It's fun. And actually, gambling has been around for centuries and centuries. I can provide you some good literature on Thomas Jefferson talking about the importance of taking risk and making bets, and how everything that you do in life is a gamble, right? If you are a farmer and you are planting your crops for the year, you are gambling that some awful thing isn't going to wipe them out and then you're fucking starving for the rest of the year. Like, everything you do in life is a gamble. So I would say it's just like all in your perception and your risk management. So like for me, I personally like gambling in crypto and playing poker. I think that these games of skill make you better at making decisions in life and in business and in everything that you do. So I guess, like, long story short, when people come in and they say like it's gambling, like, yeah, it is, and nobody's saying that it's not. Whenever you're playing in the meme coin casino, like, that's the point of it. It's for entertainment and social value, and of course social mobility, like making money with a little bit of money. So
well, and honestly, that's why we want to take people to the casino with us, because I think a lot of the time, Daniel pointed out in the comments, what they're hearing on TikTok is this is an investment. And we want people to understand the difference between like an investment in an asset that is designed to grow your wealth conservatively, risk-free or low risk, from high risk, absolute speculation, totally degenerate. Like, Alex, what do you always say? It's not a problem if it's appropriately labeled, right? Like that's what we want.
Literally, you should be free to do whatever you want with your money, but you should also be given the courtesy of having things be represented authentically and appropriately and labeled.
Yeah, and you should take personal responsibility though too. Like, that's the thing. I see a lot of people that are like, there's plenty of bad things about gambling and you can't make your money back. Okay, well, you shouldn't be investing money that you can't afford to lose. Like, I know that's kind of a meme of a sentence, but it's true. Like, you have to also take personal responsibility with these things. And if you invest your rent money into some shitcoin that you didn't have money otherwise, like, yeah, that's not a shitcoin problem. That's a you problem. That's a decision-making problem.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is I think there are a lot of people who don't, you can't consent to something you're not informed about. And I think there are a lot of people who don't inform folks in a way that is helpful or clear about what this or that thing is. Or straight
up lie to them.
Or straight up lie to them to enrich themselves sometimes. That's a problem.
It's the inability to recognize nuance is an epidemic in society right now across the world. And if
or lies, just generally. People don't know when they're being lied to anymore.
Certainly. But the dangerous part about, you know, mis or disinformation is usually the element of truth. So like it can be true that crypto represents one of the greatest opportunities we've ever seen. It can also be true that inside of that opportunity, there are many different categories.
Okay.
Evan, did you rug us?
I didn't rug you. It's not me. Test check 1 2. Test check 1 2.
Well, they can't.
Can you hear Alex?
Anymore.
We can't hear Alex.
You can't? Test check 1 2. Say it again. I rugged you with my elbow.
Damn it.
I'm so sorry. So sorry. What we caught was you.
It's okay.
He was on one, it looked like.
I'm so sorry.
Damn
I
it,
shouldn't
Evan.
be allowed near a soundboard.
All I was saying is that you know, you have to be able to recognize the nuance. And if you tell someone out of one side of your mouth or one side of the vocal instrument or engine that is crypto content creators or educators in general, that this is a great opportunity, and then someone else is like, hey, remember that great opportunity you heard about? Here's a really good place. And then they give you some bullshit. This is why I hate influencer tokens so much, because you've taken something that you have been telling your people is a gamble, but you're about to make it safe for them. And then you trap all of your followers into this like long-term hold, while everyone else who recognizes that it is gambling and it is PvP, just milk them for every drop of liquidity that they have forever. And then your bag, go look at the chart of any influencer meme, and they all look the same, including Trump's. Just like, you know, it's unfortunate but true. So Casey, I completely agree with you, and I fully support the right to gamble. But the reason that I harp on it so much is because there are so many people in crypto who talk about it from a pulpit of misinformation and just like lie and swindle to get people into like this one thing, that this one's safe. Like all the other shit coins are gambling, but like the one I'm going to sell you is good. And then you just
I think
hosed.
too, there's just like a massive preying on naivety of people as well, because people, like, oftentimes these influencers, one of the things I've gotten really, really good at doing the last couple of years is on-chain sleuthing, like following wallets and following their movements and what they're doing. And every time these influencers are in the group chat typing to you like, guys, who sold, who's wrecking the chart? It's fucking them selling from their side wallets that they think that they obfuscated because they went through some bridge or through some exchange where no, you can track that stuff down, and most of the time they're not very smart. And when they do these launches, they're bundling them in a way that you can see them. But yeah, so like that's another thing is when somebody's telling you I'm not selling, you can verify information on chain. You don't have to take their word for it ever. So go check.
Okay, let's make this our kind of final topic. And on that note, if you have a final question, a suggestion, a good joke, a word of wisdom, start thinking about it now. Get ready to leave it and get a screenshot. Get your thumbs at the ready so that if you're not in the Discord server where the show lives 24/7, you can join. It's discord.gg/riseup. All that's missing is you. Let's talk about the most important skill in crypto. Alex, reading a Blockchain Explorer, worth it to learn? Overrated? What do you think?
I keep screaming this into the void, and I will keep screaming into the void. The single most beneficial skill that you can learn is how to read a Blockchain Explorer, because that is
And
how
what even is that?
it's
the
it's
hell?
the public ledger. It's the record of all the things. It's all the information. It's the way that you fact check what anyone has ever told you about any cryptocurrency on any blockchain in the history of ever.
Fact check yourself,
And
brother.
If
Okay,
the chain doesn't lie. So learn how to read it, and you will not get swindled anymore.
I thought you were going to say something, Casey. I'm so sorry. I had the comment screen up. If you want a tutorial on how to do this, we have one that goes over it lightly on our YouTube page. Every blockchain network has an explorer that will show you in a human readable way that ledger, that record of transactions, everything that those computers are talking about back and forth to each other, the list of transactions. You can look up your wallet address, anyone else's wallet address, an individual transaction. And what you'll search for if you want to see our video is Faceless Labs Blockchain Explorer. And we go over using Etherscan, a common blockchain explorer that keeps record of the Ethereum blockchain, how you can identify transactions going in and out of your wallet. That's the first step. If you get hacked, is like you go to the Blockchain Explorer, or you think you've been hacked, or you're like, oh, my money didn't show up. I sent a transaction 10 minutes ago and it's not here. Don't keep refreshing your wallet. Go to the Blockchain Explorer. And if somebody, like Casey says, tells you this is my wallet, check everything out, go ahead and verify it. You can see what World Liberty Finance is buying to get a sense of what the president thinks is going to go up in value. You can get a sense of all kinds of stuff if you know how to read it. Do you have other resources or suggestions for people who want to learn, Casey?
Yeah, I mean, I would say like as you kind of develop the skill set, it's good to learn how to read like the actual formal blockchain explorers like Etherscan. Solscan sucks. Like Solana's Blockchain Explorer is trickier than learning Etherscan. But I would say there's a lot of tools that can be super, super helpful for you as well, like things like DBank, and for Solana, like Step.finance. They can make it a little bit simpler to track down your transactions and where you have things versus actually looking at the Blockchain Explorer itself. And then there's also tools that you can use down the line to take it further, like Arkham Intelligence or Bird Eye, where you can actually like, you know, depending on which chain you're looking at and what you're trying to find, where you can find like people's profit and loss. You can find different types of transaction history and how their wallets are linked from this one to this one, and you know, all of those types of things. So I think like the fundamental skill set is learning how to read a Blockchain Explorer, but then from there, there's a lot of tools that you can take it way further and way simpler.
Yeah, Arkham is a good one because they make it a little more readable to see, like, you know, this is World Liberty Finance's wallet. You don't have to kind of track it down if the blockchain doesn't list it. This is KuCoin's wallet. This is, you know, a wallet believed to be linked to so-and-so. And another good resource I would encourage you follow that just makes it fun is on Twitter. There's an account called Zach with a CH XBT. And this guy has made a professional career of tracking information on the blockchain, mostly related to crime, scandal, rug pulls. And he does a really good job of telling a narrative of like, so this was a rug pull that happened, and here's how I know it. At 10:59 a.m., this wallet moved some money over to this wallet, and then it, you know what I mean? And he has screenshots, and it can give you the kind of curiosity about this stuff that will engage you enough to keep learning it, because it can be a little boring looking at numbers on a screen unless you have a reason to be like excited about it. At least that's how I feel.
He's so good. He is so good at what he does.
Yeah, and we'll put all this stuff in the Discord server and we'll talk about it again on the show. Don't hesitate to leave questions in the comments. This is a good time to say, as we prepare our final thoughts, we want you to know that these are our only profiles wherever you're watching the show. We will never, ever directly message you on any platform from any profile without notifying you publicly first. If you get a message from someone who looks like me or Casey or Alex, it's not us. It's not because we don't care about you. It's because we do care about you, that we will never message you first. Those are always scammers from any creator that you follow. So beware, follow us here. Don't listen to the scammers. My friends, Casey, you go first because you're our guest. Would you like to give us a final thought, question, suggestion, good joke, or word of wisdom? What you got?
Well, I will answer that with there's a question. Casey, coffee or tea? I am a black coffee gal, so there's my answer. I will take the last 1 minute to just shill my project. So everybody come follow us on X at euphoria_fi. Come hang out with us. Come to the developments of the project. We haven't been posting a lot. It's just like very like high signal, low frequency things that we're posting now, just to give you only the information that's pertinent and not just fill your feed with garbage. But we will have an AMA on Friday and have a lot of exciting stuff coming up. Mega ETH testnet is coming out in weeks, not months. Alpha, weeks, not months.
Okay,
So
write it down,
very
everybody.
excited for the things that are happening here. And yeah, just grateful to be here. I love coming on the show and hanging out with you guys.
We love having you, Casey, every chance we get. Alex, hold that steady because I will show it. Alex rugs me every time we do the screen share, so don't.
I'm gonna do it again. So
okay, here
you've
we
been
go.
warned.
Euphoria is at euphoria_fi, and the branding, Casey, is fire. If I do say so myself.
Bullish
Feels
on pink.
euphoric.
It does feel euphoric. I'm bullish. Alex, what about you? Final thought?
Nope. I think all.
Damn,
it
that
is
was a pregnant pause.
You're welcome.
Let's like.
No, I'm just I'm excited for tonight. Thank you, Casey, for coming to hang out. I'm waiting for final confirmation on Dennis because no one's schedule is crazier than Dennis's. So assuming or if just in case we do get rugged last second, I will bring you guys the update as soon as I can. But I'm very excited to get Dennis on and hear about so big, if you're curious, big topics for tonight are just status of the strategic Bitcoin reserve. I want to talk to him about the comparison between the federal government running one and all of the states who are kind of FOMOing in to the idea right now, and then where he sees the legislation in these states actually being passed. We just saw Arizona be the first one to kick it to the state Senate, so we'll see how that goes. Curious about his thoughts on the digital asset stockpile idea, take on the EOs, what he's hearing in Congress as he's talking to people. And then, just like generally overall state of the market. I can already hear when I say state of the market, he's going to say everything is a distraction. Pay attention to Bitcoin, because that is Dennis. And but we're gonna bully him a little bit into talking about some altcoins. So
yeah, and I will definitely ask him your question, Casey, about if Trump coin,
absolutely,
etc., have hurt his work. That's a good question.
I mean, I know what his answer is going to be, but I'm just curious as to how he says it.
I mean, I'm curious too, because he was pretty open about it. The second it started to trend, he was like, "This is a distraction. This like Bitcoin is what matters. Like, pay attention to don't take your eyes off of Bitcoin." Blah 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 blah. So I think that he will be diplomatic about it, but I know that he's pissed.
Cool. Well, once again, that's 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. We'll be live on all these channels for Rise Up After Dark. We'd love to see you there. Jump in the Discord, follow Casey, hang out with us whenever you're online at the Discord server and at theriseupmorningshow.com. We'd love to see you there. Until next time, my friends, everybody stay safe. Be well. Rise up. Beautiful.
Sweet.
Okay, I gotta go. Gotta go get therapized.